Today is the 7th day on this diet where I lost 7 pounds in 7 days using this bread recipe instead of your typical old wheat bread that you buy from the store. I'm a food addict, so when I start eating that wheat bread from the store and my insulin spikes, I literally need to keep eating it until the whole bag is gone. I went on a mission of many years of trying to find the perfect keto-friendly, high-protein, low-calorie bread, and I finally found it. Here's my reaction when I first made this bread. Oh my god, how is this egg whites? It feels like real bread. I am just, what? What? I can't believe this. I'm about to blow your mind. Many people think that to be in ketosis, you have to eat 10% carbs and 70% or 60% fats and the rest in protein. But here's the very huge common misconception. To be in ketosis, you don't necessarily need to restrict your carbs down to 10% to be in a ketosis state. There are other ways, and I'm here to tell you how, so stay tuned. In this recipe, there are 3 main ingredients that you definitely cannot make this bread without. You will need a dozen eggs because we are going to be using fresh egg whites. If you are curious if you can use regular boxed egg whites from the store, the bread may not rise as much as you may want it to. The second ingredient that you need is egg white powder. I use the following brand and I have listed those out in the description box for you. You could, if you wanted to, use whey protein instead of the egg white powder if you need to, but you have to make sure that it is unflavored and you only have 1 or 2 ingredients in here, and I have only whey protein isolate and soy lecithin in this recipe. The next ingredient is allulose. The allulose basically caramelizes and gives that brown color to the bread that many people love, but this is an optional ingredient. And then cream of tartar. This also stabilizes the egg whites once we are mixing them. It is optional as well, but you might not get a good result. And finally, we have Himalayan salt. You can use regular salt if you would like. When it comes to supplies, I have this bread loaf measurements in the description box below. You can also use these silicone bread loaves if you would like. It does make a lot, so you will have to use 2 of these. You will also need an electric mixer. I use the KitchenAid. Finally, you need parchment paper and some kind of oil to make sure this parchment paper sticks to the loaf pan. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and put the egg whites into the mixer bowl. And if you need an egg white separator, I'll link one for you in the description box below. And then go ahead and put your half a teaspoon of cream of tartar in, and then half a teaspoon of salt, and start the mixer. So we've been mixing for a good 15 minutes, so definitely expect to be mixing the egg whites for 15 minutes before you get these perfect peaks. You're looking for a shaving cream consistency. An easy way to tell is if you lift up the mixer. If it just falls out of your mixer, you know it's definitely not done. And also, if you see the egg whites starting to clump together and move along in one clumpy piece along the sides of the bowl, that's when you know it is definitely done and you're ready to move on to the next step. The next step is going to be putting a cup of egg white powder in, and I will warn you, it will get messy. I started off very low speed because, as you can see, it's just gonna get really messy. In order to get our bread loaf ready, use any oil or butter of any kind to create a sticky layer, because we're going to need the parchment paper to stick on. This is the final result. It sits perfectly in there. And now it's time to go into the oven. So it has been exactly 30 minutes and this is what it looks like. Now we're just gonna go ahead and turn off the oven and let it cool while it's inside the oven. Now that it's been 30 minutes and it cooled down in the oven, this is what it looks like. It's not as high up as it was. The creases that were originally white when we turned off the oven are now browned and it looks more of a real bread, and it's cool enough for me to hold it and actually pull it out. Now comes the awaited texture. Look at this. It's so soft and spongy and like real bread. It doesn't taste eggy at all, if that's what you're wondering. And it doesn't taste sugary because we put allulose in it. It tastes just right, and it's like you're eating bread. I entered this recipe into MyFitnessPal. Can you believe that if you slice this in 12 servings, that each slice has only 1 gram of carbs and 9 grams of protein and almost 0 grams of fat. So this is strictly all egg white protein. If you're curious about this pen that I used earlier in the video, make sure to check out this video right here. You're awesome, and remember to be a shark.